All right, when you're ready.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. You're going to call the roll? Yes.
Member Lane
Yes.
and Member Howard.
Yes.
And I guess according to
Three
the agenda, yep. So that takes care of the roll call as well.
Did we have to vote on call to order?
We did just call to order.
Call to order.
Yeah, okay, so I guess that doubles up, huh?
It should be, I guess, backwards. But I guess we don't need to do a roll call, correct?
Correct.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from June 4th, 2020?
So moved.
I'll second.
Are there any questions on the minutes?
No.
Doug? Nope. All right. Roll call.
Member Greenwald,
Yes.
Member Lane,
Yes.
and Member Howard.
Yes.
Okay. Under new business. Yes. Under new business, the revised Civil Service Commission rules and regulations. So I assume we need a motion to approve and then we have discussion about it.
Correct.
Is there a motion?
Yeah.
So moved. And then we discuss?
Correct. Second, I'll second it. All right, what's the scoop?
I just have a few things. Most of them are typos, but go ahead.
So these revised rules are, by and large, the old rules and regulations reformatted to be more user-friendly. There are some key changes that I'd like to go through with you. So first is in Rule 1, starting on page 3, we've added rules of construction. This language is borrowed from the city's codified ordinances and just clarifies technical language usage. Singular includes plural, plural includes singular, things like that. Second is Rule 3, classification. Beginning on page 9, we've added a clearer, more formal classification of the positions under civil service and the order and rank. Any questions on classification? Okay.
No.
Next, Rule 5, examinations. On page 17, we've added examination requirements by class, which clarifies how many years of service in previous positions you would need to be eligible for the next rank up, as well as if we had to go to an open test for a promotional position, what an outside applicant would need to have to apply for that position. On page 19, under ensuring competitiveness, here we have changed the bar from a minimum of 2 applicants to a minimum of 3 applicants. This seems to be the standard in other civil service groups to try and create as much competition as possible and prevent someone from getting their friend to throw the test for them. In addition, what these provisions allow is a 3-test system to open to outside applicants. So if we can't get 3 applicants internally on the first test, we would open up the rules to allow a greater number of internal applicants. If we still can't get 3 applicants, then and only then can we open up promotional positions to outside applicants. Any questions on that rule? Okay. On the next page, page 20, under additional credit, for education credit, we've defined what 1 year is. Previously, it was not clearly defined, and I knew from helping the previous secretary last year that there was some confusion about what to count as 1 full year. So we've defined 1 full year as 30 credit hours, since most accredited institutions require about 120 credit hours to graduate. Assuming the average person takes 4 years to graduate, that's roughly 30 credits a year. Any questions on that?
What happens, Ben, in my case, I'm trying to remember if I hit 120 or 118 or something to the other. What if somebody is short of 120, but they still graduated even with honors? I mean, does that take in, or do they have to have 120 hours?
So as the rule is written, they would have to have 120 hours. However, if there was a situation like that where they have, or to get the full 20%, they would need 120 hours. So like in your case, with the 118, when you applied, I would automatically award you 15% because you've completed 3 years clearly by our standard. You would then be well within your rights during the challenge and inspection period after your test to ask the commission to allow you that extra 5% because you did complete 4 years and you did gain your degree. Your school just happened to only require 118 credit hours.
Yeah, and I can't remember what mine was. I'm just curious because that might have been able to bring in some credits from high school or whatever, and wouldn't necessarily have. They would get
those credits would still count.
They would? Okay.
So if it appears on your transcript, those credits count.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we're not opening up a can of worms somewhere down the road.
That's a good question, though.
Yeah. Because to me, if you've got a degree, then you've got a degree.
Yes. It is relatively unlikely to happen, as every accredited institution near us that I checked required 120 or more hours. But it is certainly possible, and that would be a case of, we would hope that that applicant would bring it to the commission and the commission could make a special ruling for that case.
What do you think? What do you think an associate degree would carry in credit hours?
It should be 60, I think.
I would think so. Okay.
Yes, and it's not all or nothing. So if you completed only a year, you would still get 5%. It's just to hit that maximum of 20, you have to complete 4 years.
Just helps us define, what to count as a year. Before, people would say, well, I was in school. Maybe they were only taking 6 credit hours. And the person, the other person says, I was in school a year and they took 30 credit hours. Didn't seem quite fair. So now we have a measurement on what is a year of credit.
Next.
Okay, on page 21, under Rule 6, eligible list, the duration has all changed from being 1 to 2 years at the discretion of the commission to be 1 year with 2 6-month extension options at the request of the appointing authority. So each eligible list will automatically be effective for 1 year, and then at the end of that year, the mayor can come back and say, my chief and I would like this list to last for another 6 months, and the commission could then choose to either allow that or not allow it.
Okay.
Rule 20, or page 23, Rule 7, certification. We have simplified this process so that every time we do a certified list, it doesn't have to come back to the commission. So you guys, the commission has already approved the eligible list. All the applicants are already ranked on the eligible list. All the certified list is doing is saying to the mayor, here are the current top 10 or top 5 applicants on that list. And we felt it was kind of overly cumbersome to come back to the commission every time the mayor might want to appoint someone. We felt it was fair to assume that whoever's in my position could accurately report the top 10 or the top 5 applicants. Okay. Next, on page 27, in Rule 9, transfers, reductions, and separations, we've added the transfers section to include intra-departmental, interdepartmental, and lateral transfers. Interdepartmental just means that, say for example, in the fire department, in class fire EMS 1 is both firefighter and fire inspector. If our current fire inspector were to leave, Chief Bacon has already hired a firefighter who's qualified to be your fire inspector, and he wants to transfer them into that position, he can do that without retesting for the fire inspector. Interdepartmental means that if, for example, we had a police officer who was also certified to be a firefighter, and for some reason there was an opening and they wanted to switch departments, the chief could arrange that transfer. And then lateral extra municipal transfers were provisions requested by the chiefs to allow us to transfer in qualified applicants from outside departments who have already passed the civil service test for that department. And if either of the chiefs want to say anything more on that, how that works, and they're envisioning for that, they're welcome to.
I was trying to remember.
Okay,
I was trying to remember Mr. Kelly when we transferred him out of fire over to the water plant. Would that be something similar?
You know, because he was transferred
Yes,
from a civil service to a non-civil service.
Okay.
Frank, you want to talk on the lateral?
I don't have a lot of experience with that. It does allow us, though, with the shortage of police applicants, it allows us that if someone is qualified at another department, say, for example, the sheriff's office, they've already been hired through a civil service process. Years ago, it used to be risky if somebody from the sheriff's office put their name on our promotional, on our entrance exam, because they then got frowned upon at the sheriff's office. It would give an opportunity for them to be able to apply to the department without having to put their name on that competitive test. It doesn't mean that we can't still encourage them to take the competitive test so they're on there. It just gives us the option that nowadays, since there's, you know, we're not necessarily the most popular profession at the moment. We seem to be all trying to get the same good quality candidates, and sometimes it is a matter of our pay scale is more attractive than someplace else. But we didn't get to them first through the initial exam process, so they tried the other department, decided they didn't like it, or that they made the wrong choice. It gives us the option that, you know, if they pass the rest of our background check, that we can just bring them in without having to run them through the civil service test. Anything else you want to add, Dutch?
No, you pretty much covered it. It just gives us another option when the testing is. Sometimes for the fire department, we only had 2 or 3 people take a test.
So let me ask you this. If somebody from Charlotte, North Carolina wants to relocate back to Ohio, we have an opening.
That won't, according to these rules, that will not work because in order to lateral transfer for Ohio, you have to be in a Ohio position that contributes to the Ohio pension system.
Okay, so it's within the state.
It's within the state pension system.
Thank you.
Next.
Page 31, Rule 10, leave of absence. These provisions look substantially different, but we've just clarified leave of absence provisions to be in line with the city handbook for employees and appropriate collective bargaining agreements. And then finally, on page 43, Rule 12 is entirely new, and it's designed to help me to file the commission's annual report with the state. So we've actually started a similar process to this year already, where I just asked the mayor's office and the chief's offices for help gathering the information I'll need to file the 2020 report when it opens January 1st.
Very good.
Good.
Was there something in the original that was highlighted about money? Did you discuss that?
Yes, so in Rule 2, organization and administration, under chairperson and secretary, I had highlighted the execution of warrants, because currently the rules are that the secretary can execute warrants for $1,000 or less, and the secretary and the chair has to execute warrants for $1,000 or more. Our current testing is such that it costs us roughly $1,200 per test. So in theory, we would have to get Jordan, who is part-time and volunteer, to come into City Hall every time we had a test and sign the warrant. So at one point I had considered increasing that amount just to match what we pay in testing so that I can execute warrants for our standard test.
Okay.
There's a question. Let me mute here.
All right. Any further discussion on the revised Civil Service Commission rules and regulations?
Well, I don't have any questions about the revisions. They all look good. I didn't know what, there's one reference in Rule 501H that refers to a place that it doesn't make sense to me. And I don't know whether we're talking about all of this, but in 501H, it refers to mailings, and it's referred to 501E too, which is no visitors. It doesn't make sense. I think it should be referred to 501F.
Yes, it should. That is an auto-updating reference that did not get corrected, and I actually found it yesterday, and it should be F. There are a few typographical corrections
That were already done.
Do need to be made in here, but they are most have been identified since the initial draft that I sent you guys.
Okay.
And I can go through them all if you'd like.
No, that's okay. The one that really bothered me was psychological is misspelled in 404B3. I hate that because other than that, it was just typo
404B3.
positioning, and I'm sure you've seen those.
Yeah. Psychological.
It's
Yeah, there's the
PSY.
three. Chief Kemp gave me some other capital C's where there shouldn't be
Right.
yesterday.
And then 501J is, this says set for, it should be set forth.
501J. I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, it's 501J. There's something that says set for. Oh, I don't have it in front of me. Let me see. It should be, I think it should be set forth. 501J.
Set for, yeah. In the last sentence.
Yeah.
That's set for.
That's all I have. The revisions sound good.
So I would request that they be approved with typographical correction.
Any other questions? Doug, Deb?
No questions.
No
All
question.
right, roll call.
Is that,
Member Greenwald,
Yes.
Make the motion? Was that the
Member
motion?
Lane,
Yes.
and Member Howard.
Yes.
All right.
3 in favor.
Yes. And then the discussion of potential testing or testing schedule for 2021. Is there a motion to approve? I guess a discussion? We don't approve the discussion. What's the?
Yeah, I'm just requesting some time to tell you all what we expect for 2021.
And that is?
So initially in the agenda I had sent, we were expecting 5 tests. Talking to administration, they would like to be more proactive and generate a list for every position which currently does not have a list, as well as do all 3 entrance exams. So that would be a total of 8 tests next year. And at the moment, I'm hoping to do battalion chief first, as that is the current unfilled position. And that will be in March, followed by fire captain in April, which will likely be made open by the promotion of a captain to battalion chief. In May, June, and July, the 3 entrance exams. In August, an exam for police lieutenant, which we currently do not have a list for, but we are not expecting a retirement. In September, a test for lead dispatcher, which we currently do not have a list for, but again, are not necessarily expecting retirement. And in December, fire chief, which, as with the previous 2, we just don't have a list, but we are not trying to force Chief Bacon out. So a total of 8 tests spread essentially across the entire year next year. And I'm working on a request for quote for what those tests look like, which I will hopefully bring back to you guys in January for final approval before seeking quotes for tests.
Any questions on that?
No, we would just
No.
be adding then 3 additional tests, but roughly $1,200 a test, right?
Depending on how the quotes come back, yes.
But what if nobody signs up? Then we don't have to do a test, right? I guess I'm trying to figure out if we add the extra ones, or we determine that we're going to definitely have to spend that money.
No, so as we go through the year, we'll have, the commission will have to approve each test as we go, and it will be somewhat limited by budget, depending on how the quotes come back, because when we budgeted for the commission for this year, we operated on the assumption that we'd received roughly the same prices as we currently receive, and only those initial 5 tests. So the additional 3 tests may or may not be possible based on budgetary concerns and what it costs us to offer the other 5 tests.
Okay, thank you.
Ben, what were the dates for the entrance exam?
I'm hoping to do police in May, dispatch in June and July, and fire in July, which would put the fire eligibility list published at approximately July 28th.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't hear what you said for entry. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the schedule?
No.
Doug?
Nope.
And we don't need to approve that since it's just for discussion, correct, Ben?
Correct.
All right. Any other business? All right. Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Member Greenwald,
Yes.
Member Lane,
Yes.
and Member Howard.
Yes.
All right. Have a good day, everybody.
Three in favor.
Same to you.
Thank
Happy
you for
holidays.
on the commission, everybody.
Thank you.